Great show tonight. Napper, I got something interesting that I was working on earlier today. I didn't get quite through it. I got through half of it, which is kind of cool, and I think you'll find interesting. I went through the World Baseball Classic is going on right now. For those of you who live in a cave and you're a baseball fan and don't realize that there's this big tournament going on, some people agree with it, some people don't. But the reality of it is that it's going on, and it's definitely affecting some of the major league teams because they lose some of their key players, they lose some of their minor league players, and that's what we're going to focus on. I went through the entire roster I went through all the rosters of all the teams in the World Baseball Classic and kind of wanted to see how minor leaguers were doing on their respective teams. Now, as you would expect, there are no minor leaguers on the U.S. team. They're all major leaguers. No prospects, nothing like that. But that's not to say that other teams aren't represented by prospects who are in affiliated baseball. There are a lot of players playing for these teams that have no affiliation at all. They either have not been signed by a team yet. Pedro Martinez is a perfect example of that, or that's their job. That's how they play baseball, is when they play for their national team. So, but I'm going to go through. There's a list of 95 players. There's 95 players that are currently in a system, a minor league system, affiliated minor league system, that are playing with a World Baseball Classic team. Australia has 13 of them, and the thing about Australia is, I'm only gonna, because there's 59. I'm only gonna go through half of them today. Maybe we'll catch the other half in a couple weeks when we get back from spring training if we have time. But let me go through some of these guys. Out of the Minnesota Twins organization, a guy by the name of Jason Beresford. Jason is playing for Australia, and he's hit .429 with 4 RBIs. And so we're kind of looking at that. That's actually one of the better numbers I've seen. A lot of these guys, the names, Daniel Berg, Minnesota Twins. These are all Australian players. Adam Bright, Colorado Rockies. Mitch Denning, Boston Red Sox. Andrew Graham, Detroit Tigers. Liam Hendricks, the Minnesota Twins. Joshua Hill and Paul Mildren out of the Pittsburgh organization. Scott Mitchinson, Oakland Athletics, and then Trent, I can get this guy's name, Trent Olingent, he's out of the Diamondbacks organization as well, and then David Welch from the Brewers, and then Stefan Welch from the Mets, and then Brandon Wise from the Detroit Tigers. They're all playing for Australia. Now, some of these guys haven't even gotten in, some of them had. And I'll just stop with Australia, not to bore people, but I want to get Napper's opinion on this. Napper, what is your opinion on these guys getting pulled out, these minor leaguers getting pulled out and going back to play for their respective countries? I think it could be a good thing for a minor leaguer because you're bringing a minor leaguer in you're giving them a different level of competition. You're making them step up their bar or move the bar up for them, step up their game because they're playing against guys who are, if they play against the U.S., they're bona fide major leaguers. So if you can hold your own against them, you can probably hold your own again in the majors. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, I think it's a great thing. These minor leaguers, leaving their affiliates, for 2 or 3 weeks to go represent their country and to play against some of the best talent in the world. It's almost more beneficial for them to do that than to stay in camp with their original teams. And just the chance to get to represent your country in a great event like the World Baseball Classic. It's for a lot of these players in the World Baseball Classic. That being able to represent your country is going to be a career highlight. It's not just an afterthought. I listened to David Wright on the Jim Rome show yesterday, and he is just so excited to be able to represent his country. So I think it goes above and beyond, just a regular spring training. These guys are representing their country, and it's an honor. And first and foremost, that's what the World Baseball Classic is all about.
Yeah, that's true. And I want to say hi to Doug Gibbett and Al Lupiani in the Ucaster chat room. We're back up on Ucaster tonight. We last week there was something wrong with their site; they were down or something. So we're back with them tonight. So I want to thank those guys for jumping on and listening. Morning Sports Bite with Al Lupiani. So check it out. I think he's doing a weekly show now, but nonetheless, I mean, you keep going through the roster. In fact, I go to the Italian roster, and I can't. I can't leave out Alex Mahastri, one of the guys from the Cubs organization who we had on. But to see how many minor leaguers the Italian team has, and they've been playing pretty well. So they've got 4, 8, 9. They got 9 minor leaguers in associated ball. Now Canada had almost roughly 20, and they didn't play very well. And none of these guys played. A lot of these guys did not play. Scott Diamond threw 3 innings. He with a 3.0 ERA, had 1 strikeout, 1 base on balls for Canada, and then that's pretty much it. You had let's see, Nicholas Wells or Weglazar, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's out of the Indians organization. He had 5 at bats and he had 3 walks, so he played for Canada. But there wasn't really a lot. The minor leaguers didn't, and maybe that's a good thing for them because they didn't play very very particularly well in the Classic so far. I mean, they got knocked out right away. So it's just interesting to see these numbers, and we'll keep an eye on a lot of these minor leagues. Now they got the list, we can keep an eye on these guys and see how they're doing as they see how they're doing as they continue to move on through this World Baseball Classic. And as we lose more and more teams, it's these guys like the Italian team. I'm assuming that they're going to have to start going to the bench. That's the other thing is, Team Canada brings all these guys, and then they don't use them because they basically get knocked out in the first 2 games. If you are Team Italy or Team, I don't know if US won tonight or not, but if you're like Team Italy who's advancing, or some of these other teams who are advancing, you're going to have to start going into those pitchers and some of those minor league pitchers that you may have. You're not going to be able to throw your number 1s. So we might actually get a chance to get a look at these guys and see exactly what they got, what they're going to bring to the table. So it's interesting to watch. Like I said, it's one of those things where people you either love it or you hate it. A lot of the guys think there's a lot of opinions out there about this World Baseball Classic that it's screwing up spring training. But you know what? That may be the case. There may be some truth to that. But none. I mean, it's baseball and it's actual competition. That's the other thing is that those guys are out there trying to win a game. It's not like spring training where, they may be trying to win, but I think winning really is like a distant second or maybe even a distant third or fourth. Those guys have a job to do when they go out there in spring training, and they're specifically gearing their workouts to work on stuff a lot of times, unless they are actually fighting for a job. And then they may, they're going to try to bring their A game every week or every outing or whatever it may be, but a lot of guys, if they've got guaranteed deals, they're just working on stuff. So it's kind of nice to turn on the TV and see guys actually going for it, actually trying to win a game. So 646-652-2962. A couple other things I want to talk about. Napper, was there anything? I know you missed last week. Was there anything that baseball-wise that you wanted to get off your chest?
No. Needless to say, I have not been watching too much sports over the past week. So I'm kind of out of the loop. So I'm just along for the ride tonight. Hopefully, I can bring a little something to the show, but just along for the ride. Well,
I actually do have a couple other interesting topics that I find with baseball, which may be of interest to some or not. You got managers, you got teams, they move. Not teams, but like personnel from the teams move. And we've talked about free agency and all that stuff before, but specifically, for example, like when you have a manager who may get fired from a respective team and then end up with another team, and then all of a sudden, a lot of the players that he played for him in a respective city, end up on that team, and you see it also in front office people. Like, so you're a GM, and then you get fired, or you resign, or you move on to bigger and better things, and now you end up in a different organization, and a lot of the people that come over are guys that played for you. I mean,